Hey YouTube, you can see it's getting a little bit sort of like cloudy or foggy. Up this way you can see it better. It's supposed to be 34 degrees out. I don't believe that because there's no water dripping off the icicles. Because of the elevation that I'm at, we normally are 7 degrees lower, so I'm going to check the temperature in the greenhouse. I have my backhoe running, not to do anything today. I just don't like having the equipment sit too long without running it. Not that it gives me trouble when I really need it. So let's see here. Wow, 20 degrees. That's 14 degrees off from what they're saying it is. The thermometer on this thing is never right. What is it there? This one's saying 15. This is actually right. I know it's right. So 20 degrees here, and they're calling for rain until, or freezing rain rather, until 1 o'clock. I don't think that's going to happen. I think we're going to get snow, but you never know because I don't know what the temperature is way up in the air, so you have to see what's going to happen. Yeah, ever since I fixed this backhoe, the valves on it, it's been running really good. It starts up right away even in the cold weather. I do still use a dash of ether to get it going. Not a lot. I just don't like lowering the battery. It doesn't take much for this battery to go down cranking this diesel. It started right up this morning though, so it's been running for over an hour. I'm going to shut it off now. I just wanted to make sure it was going to be okay. So I was fixing the fire, and it's around I guess around 9:15 or so, 9:30. So you can see it's starting to snow now. I had taken Bullseye out for a walk and fix the fire here. I want to come back up here and do some more polyurethane today. I hope this snow doesn't get... I'd rather if it snowed than got icy. I hate the ice. You can't walk anywhere. Break your neck on it. Hey YouTube. So it seems like it's one of those days where no matter where I go there's something to fix. So we want to put this little fan in there by our stove, because sometimes the blower works on the stove in the house, but sometimes the way that it blows the heat, it doesn't blow it where I'd really like it to be. So sometimes you have to move heat different places. I want to just blow some heat into our the room where we sit. So anyway, it's not a big deal, but you know, I took notice in a lot of my videos, it always says, or I always say, when I was, you know, when I was a kid, when this, when that. And you know, it's not that I don't recognize that there's a, you know, it's pretty much a lot of the same thing of when I was, but I gotta tell you, when I was a kid, my mom had given me a fan to put in my bedroom, because you know, we didn't have air conditioning then. That was back in the late 50s, 60s. My mom did not have air conditioning, and you know, nobody had it that I knew of at that time. But anyway, so she gave me a fan, GE fan. I was only a little kid. I think I was in like 2nd grade or something. I was using that fan when I was 16 years old in the same room. Same in the wintertime, I'd get it out, you know, clean it up, get it out and turn it on, and I'd be fine. So for years and years, at least 10 years, that fan worked. So anyway, I went down to Walmart's when I was teaching, and I bought this fan because in the room that they cooped me up in, it was, you know, very hot in there. When a bunch of students came in asking me questions and stuff, or trying to con me into giving them a passing grade, I needed to have something to blow the air around a little bit. So I bought this little fan. I don't know how much it was. I'm going to guess 15 bucks. You know, I don't know. But I got to tell you, it's only, let's see, that was around, I think that was 2009, 2010. So you're looking at 8 years ago. Now the problem with this fan is it's been sitting in the office over there because it hasn't run for the past 5 years. Every now and then I would plug it in, and it would turn one turn and then stop. Now I'm not an electrician. I've taken a lot of these motors apart, and all I ever do to them I take them apart, I clean whatever contacts there are, put a little bit of drop of oil on the shaft, put it back together, and it usually works. So I'm going to do the same thing to this. And what I want to say is the fan that I would buy then, or the fan that my mom gave me, I should say, as a kid was a GE, because it had a big GE on the front of it, and it ran all the years that I ever had it. And then I think my dad put it in the garage after I left home, so he used it in there. This thing's made in China. Now, you know, when I was a kid, everywhere you looked on the electrical stuff, there was a little UL, Underwood Laboratories. Never really understood a lot about it, still really don't care about them. However, anything that had a UL on it seemed like it was a pretty good thing. Now we see CE on everything. I'm not sure what that means. Somebody the other day commented that it was a good thing. I don't know. But all I do know is that I bought that fan, or I got that fan from my mom. It was used when I got it. That's the thing, okay? It was, I think it was my grandmother's. And it ran and ran and ran. And this freaking thing here, I used it for about 6 months at the school, and then it started acting up, so I shut it down. I just stuck it in the office thinking I'd fix it one day. And my wife says to me, you know, a couple hours ago, do we have a little fan that you can bring in here? Because, you know, we could use that. And I went after this thing, and only to find out that it's not running again. So I'm going to just fool around with this a little bit, see if I can't get it to run. But anyway, that thing about the old days, I gotta tell you, I think the reason we spend a lot of time talking about the old days, in hopes that the kids today will recognize the junk that they're spending their money on and having to constantly spend more money buying the same things. You know, we didn't really have to do that. I mean, my mom and dad had a budget. They were able to live by their budget. If they bought a refrigerator, it was for life. Today you buy stuff. I have a refrigerator that I bought when we moved here, and for some reason that freaking thing is giving us water in the bottom of the refrigerator. I can't, you know, there's like, it doesn't take the water, put it under the refrigerator into the pan. It just wants to put it in the refrigerator. So, and that thing's not that old either. But the thing is I can remember as a kid, my grandmother had a Frigidaire refrigerator. That thing, they threw it away only because they got rid of it or sold it or gave it away only because it was outdated with the kitchen, okay, the appliance, the way it looked. I know she gave me a freezer, a GE freezer, chest freezer, or no, a chest type, or no, wait, is a chest the one, the kind that you open the lid, you know, like this, oh yeah, it was a chest, not an upright. Okay, so anyway, she had given me that thing when I first got married, and I had it in my garage in my other house. So she used it for 40 years and I used it for another 20. You know what I mean? Never had anybody look at it. Always worked. I just don't understand this stuff. But hopefully the kids will recognize what we're saying, forget that we're older and, you know, thinking we're senile, and realize that this is a ridiculous thing. They're trapped into spending money. Yeah, their wages are a lot higher than ours were, but the problem with that is that they're spending it on the same freaking things every 2 years. So we'll take this thing apart and see what I can do with it. You know, that's another thing. You ever see some of these different connectors that they have on wires and plumbing inside of a car today? Years ago, you knew that you pulled the wires apart by pulling them or pushing a little tab. Today, they got so many different types of connectors that I end up just cutting them in half so I can get them apart, because I can't even figure out how to get them apart. There's so many little things you got to push. This is why we yearn for the old days. It was much better then. Everything was pretty much the same. You could rely on stuff that came from a certain place. I don't know. and yet the kids laugh about it or think nothing of it. But they're the first ones to complain if they have to pay for something that they don't want to have to pay for. I didn't have this apart before, so I'm not even sure if what I'm taking off here is going to work. I'm just trying to get to the point where I can see the bearings in it. That's what I want to see. You know, when my kids were little, there was a company by the name of Fisher-Price, and they sold a lot of toys, you know, and we bought a lot of toys for the kids. I told you about that, how much I would spend for Christmas for them. But I gotta tell you, Fisher-Price stuff was pretty good when my kids were young yet. Man, they had things that you would buy from them that lasted almost forever. I knew they outlasted the kids, and that was important. As opposed to some things that you bought that were made out of, you know, plastic that couldn't take the abuse from a kid or even little tiny fingers for the way that goes. Maybe I don't have to take that apart. I think I'm just going to put a little squirt of motor oil on both that and the front here and see if this thing will start running. I think instead of motor oil, I was thinking over there, I got this, this is gun oil. It's pretty light stuff, so I'm going to put a drop or two on that on both sides here, see if I can't get this thing to want to run. I don't know why it doesn't run. It feels like it's bound up somehow. There, that's spinning pretty good there. Let me put one more drop on there now that it's loose. Well, you don't want to put too much oil in here because that's not good either. It seemed like it was maybe some dust got caught in there or whatever. Let me plug this thing in and see if it's going to spin. What do you know? It's spinning. I don't recommend you do this unless you know where to grab. You know, I had little computers that my one computer I had, and I've had a bunch of them, but the one computer, the laptop, and I like laptops, that I had a little fan motor in it. It was like as big as your thumb. So I don't remember how much it was. It was more of a nuisance taking that thing apart than it was fixing it. But anyway, I ended up fixing it, and it ran for years. So I think this will be alright now. For a while. Yeah, that's gonna run. Okay, good. I gotta put the rest of these screws in here. You know, my dad could fix all kinds of stuff. and I learned it from him pretty much, except for cars. When it came to buying car parts, my dad hated buying car parts. He just, I don't know why, but he wouldn't buy them, and he sure as heck wouldn't buy the, I'm not grabbing a hole in there, and he sure as heck wouldn't buy the tools to fix the car. Man, oh man, he was tough when it came to that. But I figured if you have the tools, you can always fix stuff, like more than one thing, you know. This is really a joke how this goes together. Apparently you weren't supposed to be able to take this apart because these metal screws are in plastic, so you kind of lose the gripping power. Of course, if you only put like 1.2 pounds of foot-pound or inch-pounds of torque on it, maybe it'll stay together. Let's see. So you got to find the flat side of the shaft. There's a little bit of a set screw on here. Look at the size of that set screw. I'm not saying that it doesn't work, but I'm just saying, you know, in this country we did things better than this at one time. We really did. And I say we because we were all part of building it. You know, I mean, I never built electronic stuff like this or electric stuff, but I did build houses, and that was part of America. Well, let's see here. Alright, well, we'll put the protective shield on because we don't want to lose all of our fingers with that really powerful 0.0001 horsepower motor there. I was playing with some firewood. Let me plug this in again. That's low, medium, and high. Wow. Sounds like it's going to work. I need to get some of this stuff off of this thing. I don't know if I was talking loud enough. It sounds like it's going to work, or seems like it's okay. I need to get dust off of this, so I'm going to clean that up a little bit. I'm sure you don't need to watch me do that. But anyway. This guy just ate breakfast not more than 3 minutes ago. When I started this video, Sally was feeding him. And you can see that that's not enough for him. He needs a little pine with his meal. What a character. Okay, so I'm going to take this fan over and give it to my wife, and she can put it wherever she wants. And then I should go up in polyurethane, but I think I'm going to come over and vacuum the garage up because Bullseye has it pretty messy, really, on the floor. All the wood chips and everything. Well guys, I was up at the house doing some polyurethaning, and it's a little after lunch, so now, because it's so icy and stuff around here, I don't want my wife walking over to the chickens, so I've been feeding the chickens and taking care of them, and in the afternoon I give them a little treat. I'm going to give them some noodles here, and they'll eat that, and I'll check for eggs. But you know what, I was thinking about something. I got an email from a guy, or not an email, but a comment about the town that he lived in just doesn't have anything there for him anymore. And you know, it made me remember when I was a kid. Here we go again, right? When I was a kid, the town I lived in, I can remember my mom sending me to the store. My mom would say, go down to the bakery store. It was a bakery, but they sold groceries. Go to the bakery and get this or that. And on my way down there, I would have to pass a dress factory, a pocketbook factory, and a shoe factory, and a fur factory. We're talking about, these things were on top of one another. Hundreds of people were working there, and that was just a block that my mom would send me to walk down the street to go to the store when we lived in town as a little kid. What has happened to this? You know, I noticed that no matter where I drive in Pennsylvania through all these small towns, and this is the thing, you don't see it when you're driving on the interstate, but if you drive through small towns in Pennsylvania, you will see great big sprawling brick buildings everywhere, because at one time things were prosperous and now they're not. So I thought to myself, okay, so things are not prosperous. How comes? It's not the younger generation that did this. It was our generation that screwed something up. Think about this. When I was a kid, there were all these businesses. Well, then you had people complaining about, you know, smog. You had people complaining about using animals for fur and shoes for leather. We destroyed our own things to end up with foreign junk. Why did we do that? Because people were greedy who had the businesses? I don't know. But I do know that there was one time when, you know, if you walk down the street, especially after school, like if I'd come home at 3:30, my mom would send me maybe to the store. At 4 o'clock, these factories would let out. All you saw was young girls, you know, now I was only a little kid, but like they were in their late teens, early 20s, working there. They were all dressed nice. They had nice clothing. They were happy, you know. Yes, in those days, you know, foolish stuff was done, but it's always been like that. But the thing is, they were dressed nice. They were happy. They, you know, glad to have a job. Their parents had nice places. You know, the homes were clean. What happened to this country? I don't know, but I wish we could fix it. Okay, so gave the chickens their noodles, and I collected 5 eggs. So that's not a bad deal. The noodles are probably made from eggs anyway. Yeah, what I was saying there, I would like to hear from you people, and this has nothing to do with views, okay? Because my views aren't that high anyway, but here's my point. I would like to hear from anybody out there who, when they were a kid, they remember walking by a business that was producing goods for people in this country. If you remember anything, just, you don't have to type a big thing if you don't want to. Just write in what the business was and where it was, or even if it's just your town, it doesn't matter. You don't even have to put down the name of the town. But I remember that, and I'm amazed by it, because no matter where I drive up here in Tioga County, I see all kinds of businesses. Okay, a lot of them are new, you know, automotive parts and stuff like that, but not factories that employ a lot of people. I mean, auto parts stores are nice. There's 5 people working there, that's it. And these businesses actually employed more people than Walmart does, you know, per store. Like, say the size of a store that Walmart has, there were 100 or 200 people working in that shoe factory, or 300 people. So I'd like to know what happened. Thanks, guys.